Hello, everyone. My name is Morgan Wasserman. This is my second semester, which would make it my fourth course, getting my master's in special ed and getting the applied behavior analysis certificate. And I am really looking forward to being a BCBA. I'm just going to be competent and say I will be because I can't think about what will happen if I don't pass the test. And we'll take it as many times as I need to get there because it's my dream and I love it. I'm currently an RBT in Reston, Virginia. I work full-time, which means it explains why I have very gross hair and constantly am not going to be wearing makeup for these videos or anything. I promise I do clean up relatively well when I need to. It's just been a while since I've been able to. So my name is Morgan Wasserman, and I would like to be addressed as Morgan or whatever you want. As long as you tell me first, you can address me as whatever you'd like. I really like these courses. I get a lot out of them, and I have actually been finding a new passion for technology and how it relates to the field of ABA. So for example, I kind of have been trying to repurpose certain apps or things like that to be beneficial in ABA therapy. This is kind of like my fun facts or things I know or love about ABA, but I have a lot of personal experience with things like texting programs or any type of program a kid might have, but then what I try to do is take them and make them easier. So an example of this, which this might be a little bit convoluted or hard to explain without a visual, but basically there are apps like things where you can take an outfit. Let's say you put your wardrobe and you put a whole bunch of pictures of a shirt, and then a whole bunch of pictures of a pants, and then a whole bunch of pictures of shoes, and it randomly generates out of a selection for you. Then you have a field of 3 tact practice, because if you keep hitting refresh but you use things like colors or shapes or numbers instead of these clothing items, then you have a field of 3 tact practice on an electronic app. So this provides a lot of opportunities for probing new programs, things like that, and that's something I've been super passionate about lately, where yes, I am just an RBT and I can't do certain things that a BCBA can do yet, but in the process I'm kind of developing these methods for doing things that we are already doing, so I'm not inventing things to do, but instead new ways to do them and deliver them to the kids. So in general, that's kind of the 3 things I know or love about ABA, which, I mean, there are so many things, but right now I know many ways to adapt programs and change programs so that they're more generalizable, and I just generally have a lot of ideas about ways to kind of make the kids be engaged in material that they might not ordinarily be engaged in. So, reinforcement in general, something that I'm super interested in as well is reinforcement of alternate behavior, because when we're initially taught the concept of reinforcement of alternate behavior, we think, okay, we're only going to deliver reinforcers for things that aren't what's the problem behavior, but then when you kind of do it a little bit more, you realize, okay, well, you also have to change the amount of the reinforcer that you give, right? So let's say that the kid is getting maybe a little bit more frustrated but still complying. That's a chance where you can actually deliver and measure your reinforcers and give more, maybe if they need a little bit more reinforcement to continue. Now this contradicts a lot of things that we're originally taught, because we think, well, it doesn't, but we think it might, because you think, okay, if you're being reinforced by, you're doing a great job, so you should get more reinforcement, but in actuality, those things are already happening on their own. They might not need reinforcement. So I'm very interested in reinforcing things like maybe a kid's just about to get frustrated and aggressive, so you catch them before then and you say, you've been doing a great job, and that's when you give them a break. So that you can catch that behavior and kind of push to the right point without having somebody go over. So these are just concepts of ABA in general that I'm really interested in, is reinforcement of alternate behavior, reinforcement at different times, even the concept that you can reinforce with things other than, food. You can reinforce with tickles. You can reinforce with anything if it's motivating to the kid, and that's been something super interesting to find out, where, for me, if somebody gives me a chocolate, that's reinforcing, but for some kids I work with, it's like, oh, you can literally, they like it if you put a finger here. One kid might like a finger on their cheek, and that's reinforcing. So measuring reinforcement and determining based on a kid is something that I've definitely learned a lot. Two things that I want to know more about in the field of ABA. One thing is definitely I want to learn how to kind of measure when I need to take a step back, because a lot of times I've been told I have an over-involvement, and I struggle with stepping back because I think that a lot of times I feel like I'm not doing enough. So I want to be confident enough in my skills and just like generally what I'm doing to feel like I can take that step back without making it harm the kid. I want to know and just generally have more experience knowing when is the right time to step back. And another thing I want to know more about ABA is kind of where it can take me. As of now, I would really, really like to run a bunch of caseloads. I would like to be a clinical director and be responsible for the programs of a lot of kids. But I also want to make sure I'm doing a good job with that, and I want to make sure that in general I'm kind of qualified for that. So I would like some experience just in general, knowing, things related to how to run, how to be a BCBA for different people underneath you, different therapy styles for people I might meet, and how to explain certain things in ABA that maybe I understand from my experience, but haven't had the full range of experience. And then the last thing would be one interesting fact about me, which is actually right here. This is my puppy Mia. So my fun fact, I hope she is receptive to this because she is sleeping. But, are you awake? Okay, this is my puppy Mia. I do not always dress her up in jackets, but I guess maybe I do. She's just really cold because it's winter. And she's a sweetheart, and she's really scared all the time, but she loves me very much, and she just wants to go take a nap right now. But that's my fun fact. Are you sleepy? Yeah, are you sleepy? Yeah, she's sleepy. Okay, well, we are going to sign off. It's really nice to meet all of you, and I hope that I get to do some great work with you and learn a lot. Have a good semester.